Good evening, I'm Kelly Kuhn. I'm the President and CEO of the Michigan Nonprofit Association, and I'm joined here by my friend Shannon Polk, the CMF trustee and the President and CEO of the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation. We are here this evening to present the next award, the Dr. Russell G. Mawby Award for Philanthropy.
This award was established by CMF and the Michigan Nonprofit Association in 1995 upon Dr. Mawby's retirement as chairman and CEO of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. The late Dr. Mawby was a founder and former chair of both CMF and M&A and the chair of the Michigan Community Service Commission, which he helped to create.
This award honors an individual or family who has encouraged private action for the public good through philanthropy and demonstrated leadership and championed collaborative solutions for communities. The 2024 Dr. Russell G. Mawby Award for Philanthropy, and this is truly an honor, goes to the fabulous Rob Collier.
Not yet. You got more to say. Rob was trying to come up. We were like, no, we have more to say. Rob is the immediate past president and CEO of CMF. His service to philanthropy continues today on regional, statewide, and nonprofit boards and committees. He also remains deeply engaged in our CMF community as a member through his and his wife Diane's donor advised fund at the Shiawassee Community Foundation. Now, Rob began his career as a program officer at the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation in 1976 and spent more than 45 years of dedicated service engaged in public policy, leading CMF's efforts in providing nonpartisan research for the field, advocating for preserving our state's most beloved natural resources, and among his many other accomplishments in areas of exceptional leadership, Rob remains a steadfast champion of youth philanthropy.
Other critical partnerships Rob advanced that continue today include the Michigan Community Foundation Youth Project, known as MCFIP, and Learning to Give, where Rob's engagement and support helped create global connections with international youth philanthropy groups and partnerships abroad. Rob was first introduced to Russ Mawby, a champion for youth, Rob was first introduced to Russ Mawby, a champion for youth, and President Emeritus of CMF, Dottie Johnson, in 1977 by the late Bill White of the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. These three mentors supported him and helped him to launch him into his decades of work in philanthropy. Rob is also celebrated for his work addressing environmental issues. He created the Great Lakes Community Foundation Environmental Collaborative with support from the Great Lakes Protection Fund, the first ever network of community foundation environmental programs in Great Lakes coastal cities, which launched a national movement of similar efforts. Rob has advanced CMF's policy efforts, including the creation of the Governor's Office of Foundation Liaison.
Rob has been a mentor to many, and he has spent his career inspiring, giving, and building more vibrant communities through his work in the sector and tireless advocacy efforts. Upon Rob's graduation as CEO in 2018, CMF established the Robert S. Collier Public Policy Endowment Fund to honor his legacy and support public policy work in Lansing and Washington as it aligns with CMF's government relations and public policy goals, addressing critical policy issues in the field of philanthropy and our Michigan communities. Rob remains engaged in our annual connections with federal policymakers at Foundations on the Hill. Before we welcome Rob to the stage, let's watch this video when Rob was surprised with the award news.
Surprise, that's the operative. It is only out of endearment and love that I am, that I'm announcing to you today that you are this year's Russell G. Mawby and Philanthropy Award winner.
What?
Don't sound surprised, of course.
I'm somewhat thunderstruck. You did catch me on this one for sure.
I know that Russ Mawby is up there absolutely cheering and saying bravo. He and we have seen you work with thousands, literally thousands of young people.
It's because of the roles you've lived. It's your leadership. You're a convener, you're a collaborator, mentor, and most of all, you're a good friend. Your areas of expertise in youth philanthropy, public policy, and your chocolate. And people emphasized really good chocolate.
Your generosity and openness and really like leading from behind and from the sides and all around and in whatever way that is helpful has just been awesome.
Being accessible, being encouraging, mentoring, and just being that steady rock and reminding all of us why this work is so important. And it's that kind of legacy, which is why you have been selected for this award.
As I think about Russ and I think about his legacy, it's clear that you're not only deserving of this award because of your championing of philanthropy more broadly, but because you have always been a champion for youth, much as Russ did during all of his career.
Awesome. Do you want me to set it back down?
Oh my goodness. Wow. You are all indeed fabulous. Thank you so much. And to Kelly and to Shannon, thank you for those kind words, and to Kyle and the nominators who conspired to surprise me with this amazingly fabulous surprise. It was like, what? You know. I do want to offer my congratulations to the other award recipients. I mean, you've already given us a special evening, and we started off, you know, with a very special day, and I want to particularly acknowledge Karen Aldridgeson, who not only served as the Office of the Foundation Liaison, but she did it for 3 governors. That is really incredible. That's really incredible, you know. As you've heard, I had the privilege of being introduced by Bill White when I joined his team at the Mott Foundation to Dottie Johnson and to Russ Mawby, and frankly, the rest is quite history, no doubt about it. But I want to take 2 minutes and share with you 7 key values that I learned from Russ, some of which you may have already heard. Russ was indeed a visionary, because just think about the impact that that man had for all of us and for our pure Michigan. You know, he created CMF. He then created the Michigan Nonprofit Association. He said, we've got to partner with government. Let's create the Michigan Community Service Commission, and then we've got to have a good research and database, so let's create the Johnson Center, named for Dottie Johnson, at Grand Valley State University. I really learned from Russ the value of collaboration. I mean, he took cooperation and coordination to a much higher level, because he really demonstrated, I mean, he walked the talk, and he really demonstrated that we can all do much more together than we can alone. And, you know, the examples of his collaboration are, you know, just amazing. I mean, you can read all of Russ's history, you know, and it's really imposing, to put it mildly. And as has been mentioned, he really taught me the value of public-private partnerships. He and Bill White and Dottie all said, we've got to do this at CMF. And he was so pleased with Foundations on the Hill and the Office of Foundation Liaison. And in all honesty, he would provide to me great counsel and say, Rob, you've got to be patient, persevere, persist, because some of these partnerships are going to take a little bit of time, like the Youth on Boards bill that the fabulous Carrie Pardo played a key role in introducing. And it was a fastest bill that Governor John Engler signed into law. But then there was that other bill at the federal level. It took us 22 years to simplify the excise tax on private foundations, but we did get the job done, And it was Russ's counsel that really helped us get that done. I also learned the value from Russ of being a generous listener and of asking the right questions that would invite honesty, dignity, and relevance. I mean, Russ was a great one-on-one listener. He gave his all, and you really knew you had his undivided attention. But his curiosity was quite contagious, and he made me realize that the questions he was asking didn't necessarily need to be answered right away. They could be pondered, thought about, because what he was really showing us was that by asking those thoughtful questions, we not only were learning about the world, but we were learning how to change our world. Russ was a great friend and a great mentor, and he really believed in universal access in a whole new way. The Kellogg Youth Challenge was a historic development when he let us all know, and Dottie was still running the Council of Michigan Foundations, and I was at that time here running Rotary Charities. We were all invited to Battle Creek, and Russ said, I want every Michigander to have access to a community foundation. At that time, we had about a third of the state, if that, covered with about 33 community foundations. But he said, I want to take it to the next level. I want every young person in high schools in Michigan to know about youth philanthropy and to be engaged in what we lovingly refer to as YACs, Youth Advisory Councils, Youth Advisory Committees. And he really, sum it up, when we wrapped that challenge up in 1997, I had to go back to Kellogg 3 times to get more money because Kellogg ended up distributing through the council $47.5 million in response to the challenge that the communities of Michigan raised, $110 million. And it became just an incredible thing to talk about. And the other thing that was interesting was that it became a global movement. I remember taking some of our yackers, to Canada, and the Community Foundations of Canada picked it up. We literally helped create youth philanthropy and community foundations in 18 countries, all thanks to Russ Mawby's vision and his passion for community. I have to tell you that Russ always wanted to know, because Russ and I shared the bond of both being 4-H alums, and Russ would always ask me, now Rob, what are the young people saying? What do they need? Well, one of the results of that was his response to the creation of Learning to Give, and the fact that they said, you're teaching us to be grant makers, which is great, but why do we have nonprofits? Why do we have philanthropy? Why do we have this? So Russ was just incredibly important, and he really valued youth leadership. And I just have to say how grateful I am, because in my travels on different boards, I get to occasionally run into someone. And so I was coming back from a board meeting in Kansas City, and there was this young man who looked over at me and said, hey, Rob, it's me. And I said, oh my goodness. And it was one of our YAC alums who had called me when he graduated from Princeton, and he said, I've got offers to go to Wall Street, I've got offers to go to Silicon Valley, but he said, you know what's calling me? I've got to go back to Michigan, and I've got to work in Detroit. And he's now 32, and he runs a nonprofit, but it's really a for-profit. He's employing 58 former inmates, and he is making some really high-end fashions. And one of his clients he shared with me was this guy named John Legend. Not bad for one of our alums, With our annual Summer Youth Leadership Conference, and Russ really appreciated that we introduced our yackers, our youth grant makers, to all aspects of Michigan. He really realized the words of John Ruskin, who's a 19th century social critic, that when you combine love and skill work together, you really create a masterpiece. And as I think about our youth philanthropists and as I think about our alums, when you think about what we're doing as a collective whole in our state and now across the globe, we're really creating youth masterpieces, leadership for the future now and for the future of our country and of our world. Finally, Russ was a great believer in the value of gratitude. Many of us, and I have a collection of thank you notes, which I'm sure, you know, Dave Egner and Kyle Caldwell have them as well. I know Dottie does. But Russ was always great on sending you thank you notes, and they were always handwritten, and he loved sending you those notes of gratitude. And with this wonderful conference covering topics like collaboration, like listening, Russ would be sure to send his annual conference message if he was still with us. So in the spirit of Russ, Kyle, I just have to say that, you know, this is Russ's annual message. My compliments to you and your team for another great conference. Well done. I close by sharing a quote that has inspired me throughout my career to take this wonderful journey. Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, wrote, "Philanthropy is loving, healing, revolutionary. It wakens lofty desires, new possibilities, achievements, and energies." I want to just thank you all for being loving, healing revolutionaries. Onward, we've much to do. Thank you.